the record show that a quorum of board members is present,
All right, bye.
that this meeting has been duly called, and that the notice of the meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 5541. We can have folks find them a seat, and then Mr. Frazier, if you don't mind helping us with invocation, sir.
Gentlemen, will remove your caps and let's please bow and pray. Lord, I thank you so much for this beautiful evening that you've blessed us with, and I thank you for this community, this school, all the students, the staff members, the board members, everyone that works so diligently to educate and prepare the students for the future. And God, we're so grateful for this past school year and the many successes that have been experienced. We're also, Lord, grateful for the trials that produce endurance and character, just as your word says. And God, we're so grateful for the sacrifice of your Son, Jesus Christ. And Lord, as we continue through this meeting, I ask that all decisions be made in accordance with your will, and ask that you please grant this Lord your wisdom and your guidance. And it's in Christ's holy and precious name that I pray. Amen.
All right, and for those that are not familiar, we offer our pledges, and we have our students help us with that. So, Dr. Locke and whoever our students are, if y'all can help us.
All right, good evening. I have a couple of students here with us from Pleasant View, so we'll start.
All right, next on the agenda is, tonight is a special night. We will recognize one of our outgoing board members, Ms. Marissa Abbott. Joined our board several years ago and has been a very integral part of staying focused on what really matters to this town and to this board, and that is focused on our students and our teachers and trying to ensure we have the best education for our children, our kids in our district. So we've got a number of different things, so I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Beard for a few more words.
You know, and I'll just echo that, Mr. Stevenson. I think the quote that reminds me of Marissa most is that great communities build great schools and great schools build great communities, and she definitely helps us keep our eye on the ball, that we are here to serve children and serve kids by serving this community. And we sure appreciate, she's been with us for 11 years, and she's been a part of a lot of the great things that we've done here at Godley ISD. And please help me in thanking Marissa for her years of service here at Godley.
For awareness, we have a plaque to Marissa, and then also have a flag that is flown over the Capitol to honor Marissa.
Marissa, don't forget your nameplate here. Marissa's also the one that always reminds us when we need to turn the AC on. Yeah.
And next, we will swear in new elected board members. And for those that are not familiar, you'll notice in NBC, we do have one of our board members, Simone Mabry, that had a vacation planned many, many months ago. So unfortunately, she is not with us today. One of the next things for us to do is to reorganize the board for the election of officers, president, vice president, and secretary.
I'll make a motion to have Craig Stevenson as president, Terry Goodlow as vice president, and Krista Heiner as secretary.
I'll second.
Have a motion by Terry and a second by Jeff. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Next, we will move into recognition. And before I hand the mic to a number of folks, I did want to recognize one individual that has contributed significantly to our district. He is our lead learner for the district. One of the things is Dr. Deere has been with us for 20 years of service here in the district. So a couple of things. He began his career in '97 as a science teacher and a coach. He then moved into an assistant principal position. He came to Godley in '05 as the assistant principal at the high school. Obviously, it wasn't this building. We've added it since then. And became the principal of the high school in '07. And then in 2011, he was hired as the superintendent. He has been the longest tenured superintendent in Godley history, and is currently one of the longest tenured superintendents here in North Texas and the state. He holds a number of different degrees. That's why we do have on the plaque Dr. Deere. Thank you for the correction. A couple of awards that he has received is the Exemplary Instructional Leader Award from Charleston State University Effective Schools Project, the American Soldier Defender of Freedom Award, the Distinguished Administrator Award from Texas Musical Educators Association. So, whole long list of things that we will share elsewhere other than here tonight. We're very glad to have Dr. Deere here as a part of our Godley family, and along with wife Juliandra, and then of course his kids Xander and Zoe. So again, Dr. Deere, thank you, sir, for your service to our community and to our district. Continuing with recognition, we will go to National Math Stars. I believe it's Jennifer Camp. If you don't mind, reach up there and turn that mic back towards you.
All right, my name is Jennifer Camp, and this is Katie White with the GT teachers here at Godley. And we get to recognize some amazing young math students. They've been nominated for what's called the National Math Stars program. This is a new program to us, but it is a 10-year fully funded program, and it supports students in math from 3rd grade all the way through their high school years. These students have to score in the top 2% on a nationally normed test, so that's really hard to do. Some of the things that if they are chosen, they will receive math development through advanced coursework, some summer enrichment camps, financial support. They get an annual family stipend for enrichment activities. They have a supportive community with in-person and virtual events, and then they get monthly advising for families to kind of help them through the process. So this is a huge honor for these nominees, and so let me go ahead and get started. First one up is George Spears. He is from Pleasant Green, Illinois. Next one up is William Eddles, and he is from RV Elementary. Next, we have Landon Glegg, who is also from RV Elementary. We've got Kenzie Redfield from RV Godley Elementary. We have Colton Urban, who is from Legacy Elementary. And last but not least, we have Leah Reiser from Legacy Elementary.
Good evening, board. So I'm excited. Oftentimes we bring a lot of athletic events to you. It's the end of the year, so we get to recognize a lot of our other clubs and extracurricular activities that compete all year long, and then we get to recognize their success at the very end. So we have a lot of groups of high school kids that we're really proud of the work they did all year long. And when we get to FFA, we even have some middle school kids that are a part of these activities. All the people you will see tonight are state qualifiers in their individual events. So they competed at the state level in their activities. So really proud that they represented Godley. The first group we're going to bring up, and each group has a sponsor that spends as much time as the children do in making sure these kids are ready for success in what they do outside of the classroom as well as in the classroom. The first group we're going to recognize is our speech and debate kids. So I will welcome Mr. Jeff Hughes, who is the sponsor of that program first.
Thank you. This has been another great year in Godley Speech and Debate. For the second year in a row, we are the district speech and debate champions. And this year we competed at the state level in congressional debate, where students write their own bills and resolutions and legislation, and they compete in student-run congressional chambers. And we competed at the state level in cross-examination debate, which is a team event where they work all year long on a policy, arguing for and against that policy. And this year our state competitors in congressional debate were Caitlin White and Alejandro Garcia Robles. And our competitors in cross-examination debate were Alejandro Garcia Robles and Corey Eibelhart.
To present our students that participated in state for the Technology Student Association. That's an national organization of over 300,000 students. They all placed first or second in the region and were able to compete at state. You showed me a group of kids who are willing to participate in something just to learn. And I'll show you a group of students who are going to be really successful in life. So first up, we have Reagan De Leon, and she participated in forensic science and prepared presentation. Trinity Lively, and she participated in fashion design. She participated in debate. Alejandro Garcia Robles in debate and speech. Tyson Nelson in CO2 car racing. And Kimura Golfer in fashion design.
Good evening. Thank you, Godley ISD Board of Trustees and Dr. Deere for having us tonight. My name is Peyton Trowick. I'm the current photography and video production teacher here at the high school. Before I introduce my incredible students, I just want to say thank you really quick. 6 years ago, many of the current board members here tonight and staff took a chance on me in a very different position that changed my life. Then 3 years later, you guys did the same thing. You took another chance on me, and it changed my life in an even bigger way than I could have ever imagined. This is my last week at Godley ISD as my family gets ready to move back to my hometown. But I just want to say thank you guys for the impact you've had on me and my little family, and for making Texas feel like home for the past 6 years. So thank you guys. I'll miss y'all. Important stuff, which is my amazing students. So to my knowledge, this is the first group of students in Godley history to enter a film into the UIL State Film Festival. And not only did they enter, but they placed 9th in the 4A division, edging out dozens and dozens of other schools. They worked so hard on this film. They scripted it from scratch, created all of the shot scenes, and then of course edited it and brought it to life. Might I add that everything they filmed was completely outside of school, on their own time, and most of it was done over Thanksgiving break, so props to them for that. They're so extremely talented. And we only have two seniors in this group, Ruby and Jordan. So the rest of these guys will be back next year, and I cannot wait to see what they continue to do. So I'm super proud of them. Okay, so up first we have Ben Rosser. Braylon Knott. Isabel Ortega. And then Jordan Down, but he could not do this time, this one for seniors, so congrats guys, y'all are the best.
I would like to share some of the visual arts scholastic event criteria. These students go into an interview with a professional discussing their artwork. It is judged on how they interpret or state what they did for their work, and then the visual part of it, their skill. So our 2 winners for state are Azul Sanchez and
No, I do want to say thank you for giving us the opportunity to brag on the kids and one more time because they truly deserve it. My name is Lacey Bennett. I want to also recognize my ag teaching partners that couldn't make it tonight. They got several different things going on. But Miss Leslie Bourget, Miss Millie Lofton, Miss Catherine Adams, and Lloyd Pinkerton. They have done a great job with these teams, and we had a total of 9 different what we call CDE teams. These are career development events, and these career development events are just that. They're there to prepare these guys, ladies and men, for careers in agriculture, whether it be from livestock and poultry to wildlife and floriculture, entomology. But in all of those contests, they did very well. But these 4 tonight did advance to state, and I want to recognize them. First of all, we have our floriculture team. They were 2nd in district and in area, and they were 12th in the state. When we're talking about in these district, area, and state levels, it's not UIL districts. These are just area, land areas we're talking about. So we may be competing against Waco and other Houston schools and things like that, especially at the state level. So very proud of them and their competitiveness at these state levels. So in the floriculture team, we had Nola Briscoe, Alan Heiner, who was also 5th high individual at state. Timothy Lively, and Cameron Lee. In the entomology contest, they were 2nd in district and 2nd in area, 28th in state. There was over 70 teams in the state contest. We have Barrett Lynch, Brady Thomas, Caitlin White. Caitlin was 2nd high individual in the area. Zachary White. In our wildlife team, they were 4th in district and 5th in the area. And they were 52nd in the state. And this was a team led by Campbell Armstrong. And I say led because the others are our green hands, our first-year ag students from the 8th grade to Eli Dixon. Haley Flood. And I do want to mention Bradley Fancher as well. He was on that team. We have a new contest that we endeavored in, and I questioned this contest, but when I learned that Texas A&M uses this for their vet science students and things, it's a really quality contest, and it's the cotton evaluation team, and they were 2nd in district, 7th in area, and they also did very well in the state level for their first year. Tucker Clark, Sarah Pinkerton, Cheyenne Williams, and Logan Wilson. Once again, thank you for appreciating and honoring these kids one more time. A lot of hard work.
Good evening. On behalf of the entire Godley Band program, I just want to take a moment to sincerely thank you for your unwavering support throughout this school year. Your belief in the fine arts and especially the growth and success of our students has made a tremendous impact on our program. This year has been filled with many accomplishments that we are incredibly proud of, from celebrating an all-state student, another incredible marching performance advancing and competing at the area contest, to recognizing our students who earned the right to compete at UIL State Solo and Ensemble contest, and cheering on our silver medalists in the State Indoor Percussion Contest. These achievements are a direct reflection of your support and your unwavering pride in our programs. None of this would be possible without your commitment to funding, staffing, and advocating for our program, and your support empowers our students to chase excellence and represent Godley with pride. So on behalf of our entire Godley Band program, we wanted to say thank you all so much. The first student that we're going to recognize tonight is Miss Julia Roy. Julia earned the right to perform with our Texas All-State Band. The Association of Texas Small School Bands represents the pinnacle of musical achievement for students in smaller schools across Texas. Each fall, over 10,000 high school musicians begin their audition journey starting at the region level. Top performers advance the area auditions, and ultimately, only 2% earn a spot in the All-State Band. These select students participate in intensive rehearsals led by nationally renowned conductors and showcase their talents at the annual TMEA convention in San Antonio. Julia's selection to the All-State Band is a testament to her exceptional dedication and skill, bringing great pride to our school's musical program. Next, we're going to recognize our state solo and ensemble participants. Each year, students across Texas prepare solos and ensembles for the UIL Solo and Ensemble Regional Contest, with the highest rated performers earning a 1, having to memorize their solos and ensembles. They then advance to the UIL State Contest. This year, we're proud to recognize our flute quartet members, Jordan, Julie, Hannah, and Samantha, as well as solo members, Cannon, Julia, and Gavin, who qualified for state with their outstanding performances. We also would like to celebrate Mia Simmons, who performed at region with the flute quartet but is unable to attend the state performance in a week from today. And next, we're going to invite Mr. Kennedy, our Director of Percussion and Jazz Studies, and he's going to talk a little bit about our indoor programs.
Thank you all very much for having us here to recognize these students' hard work. It's quite remarkable, all the work that they put in, and so we're extremely excited to celebrate their success. The indoor drum line this year had 27 members. At all of their contests, all 5 contests, they placed in the top 3. With placing 3rd at the WGI Regional Contest, which is a national circuit. They culminated this season, placing 2nd in the state. I told them back in January that we had something special, and it was determined on how much they were committed and how hard they wanted to work, and they really stepped up with having breaking scores that we've never set, we've never hit. So we're extremely excited for this year, for the success of the indoor percussion group. The members that are here tonight are Gavin Jorgensen, Julie Roy, Julie Ripper, Katie Ballway, Kenya Ward, Jason Sullivan, Gabe Wall, Natalie James, Glenn Levy, Valerie Patella, Michaela Jatan, Isabel Ortega, Miley Casio, Elia Martinez, Ruby Rodriguez, Ruby Villegas, Layla Tran, Mackenzie Stuckey, Lynn Walensky, Tucker Holzhauser, Peyton Bailey, Kim Adedoja, Jesus Morales, and Doug Swigert.
Good evening, Board. It's Dr. Deere. I wanted to come on behalf of the Family and Community Engagement Committee. This is our third year in existence, and one of our big goals for the last few years has been to increase volunteerism. And this is the month where we recognize our volunteers. We did have over 45 recognized volunteers this year. That was something we wanted to do, is to start tracking the people who come and volunteer for us. So we did have a brief reception this evening, but I wanted to invite anyone who's here that serves on our FACE committee or is one of our volunteers to please stand to be recognized. We had over 400 people attend our Summer Palooza a few weeks ago. And as I said, we had over 45 volunteers. So thank you for all of those. We are going to continue to grow our volunteer program each year. I have one other recognition this evening. So this month is School Communication Officer Appreciation. So we wanted to take a moment to recognize Mr. Metter, our school Chief Communications Officer. I want to read this. For his leadership, he plays a critical role in Godley ISD administration. He's consistently and effectively manages both our internal and external communication. His commitment to the district's mission to inspire, empower, and challenge all learners to lead, grow, and serve is evident in everything he does. Each day, he demonstrates an unwavering dedication to the success of Godley ISD, and his efforts do not go unnoticed. He is deeply appreciated and truly valued. Thank you for your outstanding service to Godley ISD.
All right, we are going to do the Pleasant View Campus Spotlight, but we do have one more special recognition. So while you're down here, board, we wanted to go ahead and start. We have a student tonight that is very special to us at Pleasant View this year, and we would like to recognize him this evening. Andrew Benet and his family have been through a battle with cancer this year that nobody would want to endure. He has worked so hard and has actually started working his way back to school. He is such a mighty champion and just recently found out the news that he is cancer-free. So this year we wore blue for Andrew, and we would like to recognize Andrew for the Mighty Wildcat Kid Award this year. So help me recognize him for his All right. So this evening it's my pleasure to spotlight Pleasant View Elementary. It's my privilege to be at this campus for 3 years, the 3 years it's been open, and be with this amazing staff. Many of us have been together for more than 3 years now. This year our big rocks, of course, in addition to instructional goals, we're implementing clubs, hosting a career day, increasing reading, and improving attendance. Those were the things we pledged at the beginning of the year. The students could tell you on any given day that reading minutes, 4 nights a week, 30 minutes was my request of them, and also working on their attendance. I was told them if we were ahead of the other campuses or they were ahead of us, they know how competitive Dr. Block is and all the teachers. We have a little bit of a competitive edge at our campus, I would say. So those were some of our big rocks. Oh, there we go. All right, so tonight I bring to you some of the data. I presented this same data to you last year and wanted to bring back to you where we stand at this point, knowing that some of it we were still testing a few kids by the time that the data was due in to the board this year. STAR being a little bit later pushed our MAP testing a little bit later and those kinds of things. So we still had a few students that needed to test. But overall, our reading MAP growth, we were 85%, so a couple percentage points below last year at the time. We did increase our math growth by a percentage, and then our science MAP growth dipped just a little bit. I know that previous campuses have discussed with you that we drill our data down to every given student. And so that's a matter of 3 students right there. And so that shows you how much when you have a smaller population. But our M class and our ARC reading, those are pretty much in alignment. Once again, they're still leveling students. So if I went back and looked, we'd be pretty close to where we were last year. And our reading minutes is something that I really am very proud of our teachers and our students. Pre-K, they count how many books they read. Their goal is that every student will have read 500 books or had 500 books read to them by the end of the year. So they prefer to count books at home so they can keep up with how many books they read at school and really track that. But kinder through 5th grade, we read over 1,300,000 minutes this year. So I'm super proud of our kids for taking up the challenge for that. Next, I have our signaling. Those were the key areas that were our areas that we pledged at the beginning of the year that we would be focusing on. It was 2 main goals. The career day, which we wanted to have one big day. We had already had some career days in different grade levels and at different times, but we wanted one big event where every student had a chance to see different careers and what it takes to be in that career. And so we have a couple of pictures of that. That happened last week. And our campus improvement team, they kind of discussed the foundation, but I have to thank Erin DeVilliers and Jennifer Camp for supporting, but Erin really took the lead on this, and I thank her so much. She did a great job. Everybody stepped up and worked together, but she took the lead, and I was very blessed for her to do that. And then we also wanted to do clubs. Everybody on staff was in charge of clubs, and we had 3 in the spring and 3 in the fall and 3 in the spring. And so one of them up there is Mr. Russell. He actually has an additional chess club on Wednesday afternoons where they end with a tournament. And so clubs really took, we had from fishing, we had sewing, we had all sorts of different ones, team building, just different activities. The students got to choose their top picks, and then they got to go into their top choices, so providing them that student choice. So thanks to the whole staff for embracing that this year. They did a great job of that. Also, our emergent bilingual students, I'm super proud to announce that we had 11 students that from ESL that were exited and reclassified. That's well above what we had the year before. So Bailey Lee leads that program, so I'm thankful for her. This year, or this coming school year, we have a para that will be assisting on our campus. Before, we've been the only campus without a para. Miss Lee's been doing the district and a campus, and so I know that that's going to just empower all of our programs to improve with her being able to be over all of them. So we have that as well. As always, you know, at Pleasant View, we like to do things a little different. So rather than just boring you with slides all night, we have a video that I want to thank Kristen Jenkins. She did it for me last year, and so I was like, yeah, she can do it again. And then I told her like last week, like, hey, by the way, I need that by Wednesday, if you don't mind. And so I'm thankful that she just smiles and says, yes, I'll get it done. And so, and it has some additional data points in it that I'll talk about in a couple things after we show the videos. As you can see in there, we had some improvements in our attendance, our discipline referrals were down, our positive referrals were up. Part of being able to identify our areas that we want to improve on. We did have a little dip in our GT hours, but last year we were well above our limit, so we still hit our requirements on that this year. So we, want to make sure that we know where we're at, and this is the data we'll keep moving forward. There's a few people that I would like to recognize especially. We have our Teacher of the Year, Jane O'Connor, and our Para and Paras of the Year, we had Diane McPherson and Rosie Strode, so they're here. Also, Misty Adlock and Ms. Strode are our sponsors for our ambassadors, and so we're thankful that ambassadors do such a great job out at our campus doing so many different things. Heather Bryson was a new teacher this year, and she recently received a $200 grant from the Johnson Somerville County Retired Employees Association, so we're proud of her. Recognized earlier, we have several members that are part of the FACE committee, and Laurel Barnes, Ms. Johnson, Ms. Harris, Ms. DeVilliers, Ms. Camp, Ms. Mack, and Bailey Lee, just to name a few. So and then we had 6 Wildcat dads this year that came on a regular basis, so we were thankful for them as well. And our amazing PTO, they just supported us every month. They did something special. The week of teacher appreciation, I think we all rolled out of there every day. They had so much food and different things for us, so we were very blessed. But I'd like to have the Pleasant View staff stand, and let's thank them for all that they do. Ms. McCaslin, I want to thank her. She is my right-hand person, and so thankful for all that she has done and does at our campus. We're such a great team. We do have our next year's. I would like Ms. Green, Tracy Green, come on up. So Tracy will be the new campus principal there next year, and so I wanted to officially recognize her for taking over and give her the key to the school. So it's now officially, don't make fun of my DIY here, but it's officially next year Ms. Green will be taking the charge.
Dr. Block. I just wanted to thank you for your service at that elementary school, because opening a new school building is not an easy task, and you made it look very easy. And I know your staff loves you and appreciates you, and you will be missed. She has big shoes to fill, but I'm sure she'll rise to the occasion. But thank you for all of your time and love that you've poured into PVE.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, next on the agenda is superintendent reports.
So as he isn't here today, if you've got any questions, I'm sure Nikki Nix would love to answer them. Aubrey, I don't know if you would have any answers for anything. There's a small number of things we're trying to finish up. Field drainage for one, I'm sure you guys saw a little bit of about that the last rain we had. Do we have any update on field drainage? Aubrey, might have something for that.
We have a plan that starts the week after graduation. We wanted to wait until after graduation to start.
What does that mean?
So Paragon is going to come and take back about 7 feet around part of the perimeter where the drainage issues are, take up the rock and see how maybe much sediment has gotten into that rock, clean it, put some fresh rock in, so that way there's more room for water to move. As fields age, their drainage capacity goes down, and you all weren't necessarily here in 2011, but the field that was put down at that point had some drainage issues. You were here, and so I think that's showing itself more as it's aged. So we're going to go explore that and clean out all of the rock around the perimeter to expand the drainage capacity. As they're in there, they'll see if there's any other issues that we need to be looking at broader, but they need to peel it back and see what the condition is for sure first.
I probably don't understand. Okay, so when you say the field has aged, you're talking about what's underneath the brand new astroturf.
Right, because we have new turf on top, but we did not redo any of the rock or anything that's below it.
Did
And
they,
so that's still,
would that not be something that would be evaluated before they would put the turf down? So if there were issues or concerns that we could address them while we were in there?
they did a drainage test at the time and it came back okay. So again, they're gonna take that back, explore it, replace some of the rock and see how that improves.
Thank you.
So with the standing water that was there on the field until the drainage accomplished itself, is there any way of determining was there damage to the field?
I've been told by our consultant and by Paragon that there's no damage to the field or the track. Obviously it needs to be cleaned, but no damage.
So where do we stand on the punch list? How many items are outstanding?
I don't have an exact number. It is down significantly, and a lot of the leaks have been resolved. There still are a couple places that are leaking in the building, but those have been remedied in a positive way.
And when you refer to that, I'm assuming you mean the CTE. Are we, maybe this is a question for Mr. Flood, are we having any issues or concerns with the arena, the leakage in the arena, or in the fine arts?
There were a couple places in the arena that had been put on the punch list. I'm tracking both not fine arts, but the arena and the wild in area F. But those have been remedied as well, to my knowledge.
Yes, sir. So in the fine arts and kitchen, we found a leak in the kitchen, but they've already figured out where it's coming from. So leaders on top of getting that one taken care of. It was coming from a AC unit somewhere right through there. And we've had a couple, warranty items, but readers been on it right away, got out here and taken care of it. So they're taking care of their work.
Have we had any further issues with the elevator, or knock on wood, have we resolved all of that?
Knock on wood. We did have a power surge the other day, and it froze for just a second in the middle of that power surge, but it did release and let everybody off the elevator. But we're not. We talked very nicely to it. It's a great elevator. We appreciate the service it provides to us.
We appreciate it.
So I did notice in the arena, it seems we still have challenges with our screens. I
Yes.
assume that's on our punch list.
It is, yes. It is an ongoing conversation, yes. There are a couple of those.
While we're talking about leaks, I recently was made aware of, this isn't going to be you, so made aware of some major leaks that we're having at some of our other campuses. So I'm going to use this to kind of segue into a question for our maintenance that I was told would be here to be able to answer questions about that. Someone shared some photos of some very large trash cans containing a lot of rainwater in multiple classrooms at the middle school. Can you? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm old school. That is an old middle school. The sixth grade campus.
Sixth grade campus, yes, ma'am.
Can you speak to how many classrooms are being affected and what we're doing to try to combat that?
There is probably 4 classrooms. It goes into a footprint. It goes out in the hall against the gym there where the bus picks up at the outside doors. We have had the contractor out last week. They've been working on getting us pricing. It has like a tarp roof and it's wore out. It's tore up and there's no replacing it. Fixing it.
Did you say this? You said we patched it as much as we can patch it. Now we're at a point where we've got to replace it.
Yes, sir. And I believe Spencer may have some pricing. We got pricing back Monday afternoon, I believe. And we're working on that. I don't know if he's presenting that.
Can you speak to any other damage that the leaking roof is now causing? I mean, the pictures I saw were that we didn't have any tiles in these classrooms in the ceiling. I'm assuming those tiles have been damaged or beyond repair now, and like insulation. What else are we starting to see be affected by this roof that's not obviously doing its job?
Well, I mean, of course, the ceiling tile, but they're like $4 a piece. I mean, just go right back and replace them. No need to replace them while it's leaking. The insulation, we can lay in insulation. They will put a new insulated board down when they redo the roof to help the insulation there. But, we could maybe have some floor tile issues if we don't get it repaired.
So far we haven't had any major structural damage to walls or floors, but that's probably going to happen if we don't fix this problem, I'm assuming.
Yes.
I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I'm trying to make sure we understand the gravity of the situation.
Yes, ma'am, we just needed to get it replaced because there's no fixing what's there right now.
Are there other major issues at any other campuses like the roof problem at the G6 campus?
We have those roofs at every campus, almost every campus. In certain areas, there's a problem at RBG. It's not on the same scale as this. There's one classroom that it affects down there, and it'll have to be fixed soon. Those things are like 30-year-old, right now. It's just the cold weather affects it. It will make hose pop in it.
Do you happen to know the expected lifespan of a roof such as these? You just mentioned they're 30 plus years old.
Yes.
What is the average?
Well, I think the new will probably go back to the same type of roof, but you're probably looking at 20 to 25-year warranty.
So we're past their lifespan.
Oh, yes.
That's what I was saying. Thank you. I'm sorry for all the questions.
No problem.
Spencer, didn't we have some of these addressed in the previous bond?
Yes, sir. So in the last two bonds, but the last one specifically, there was money in the bond.
Right there,
Yeah.
the two bonds that you're referring to are the ones that we did not pass.
Correct. Those are the ones that the committee did not pass. So the roofs, the HVAC, there was some information in there with PA system, fire alarms, etc. That was on the previous bond. That one did not pass, so it would have been corrected. Also, it was I believe it was a full renovation or full replacement of the roof. And so now we're actually going to have to look at maybe doing it in pieces, which is not necessarily the best scenario for doing it for cost purposes.
Spencer, you have to forgive my ignorance here with this question, but is there not insurance? Is this not something you claim on insurance?
So, no, because it's generally going to be what would be considered acts of God. So, rain is not necessarily going to impact it if the structural piece is inaccurate. Plus, we have a deductible, and so generally to replace the roof in that small section would be less than what the deductible would potentially cost. And as Randy said, I do have pricing back from 3 different vendors. So we're currently reviewing those, and then the goal is to bring those to you for recommendation the next meeting to potentially look at what you as a board would like to do going into the 25-26 year.
So we'll talk about that next month before we pass the budget.
Yes, ma'am.
So Randy, I believe you mentioned that we have leaks at other campuses, but maybe not to the severity of RB or 6th grade. Talk about the leaks at Legacy and or PB.
Well, Pleasant View has some areas, I believe, that are coming loose because it has that type of roof. I contacted Shane at Huckabee, and I probably need to call him back because I haven't heard anything back about that, but that would still be under warranty. And so just need to get that double checked. You said Legacy. It has that type of roof on part of the building, and we've had them, they mock a silicone sealer on it, and it costs like $3,000 a classroom just to coat that roof, and that's been 4 or 5 years ago, so that's probably more expensive than that. But they're holding up right now. We get a few leaks every once in a while. It's just a constant battle. Just having what room starts leaking, we have it fixed, and just go from there.
So Spencer, in the quotes that you received, that include addressing the leaks in all of the campuses that are not under warranty?
No, sir. So it actually only addresses the two most problematic at the moment, and that would be RBG and the 6th grade campus. So to triage with our finances and what would be the best, that's what we're focusing on, since there's considerable leaks in those areas as opposed to the others, and being proactive. At this point, since we do not have the funding from the previous bonds, being proactive in those manners is not necessarily something we can do at this point. So we're just triaging them.
Spencer, I assume we would assess the solutions, evaluate the bids, prioritize the items, and look to address like general fund balance. Is that where the funds would come from when we go to address the issue?
Right. So there's some different options associated with it, and that's what I would bring to you as a board for recommendation next month.
I would like to go on record as saying that obviously we're concerned about the leaks and the problems they're causing in the classrooms, but on a higher level, we have to consider that this is going to start impacting the health of our teachers and our students, because things that are wet that don't dry out become a mold issue. And so I do really feel like this needs to be addressed and be a very top priority for everyone, because as we've always said, safety and security first, and that includes the health of our teachers and the health of our students, and they shouldn't be having to sit in classrooms that could be potentially harming their health because of mold, etc. So this needs to be addressed, in my opinion, very, very soon.
We can sure get the long-range committee back together to assess everything, and we're due to do that anyway, so.
We gotta do what it takes for our people.
We definitely do that. Any other questions? These guys? Okay. Introduce our new police officer, Chief Q.
All right, good evening, community members and district staff, board members, Dr. Deere. Thank you for allowing me a few moments to introduce Godley ISD Police Department's newest member. Please meet Officer David Falter. Officer Falter joined the department at the beginning of this month. He has transitioned into his new role with ease, and he's already becoming a familiar face among students and staff members. It should come as no surprise, though, as Officer Falter has been part of our community for over 17 years, coaching many of our students in Little League baseball and softball, as well as supporting his own children as they've come through the district. Officer Falter brings over 26 years of law enforcement experience with him, most of which was spent serving the neighboring community of Benbrook. Officer Falter is also no stranger to being in a school setting. He spent many years assigned to Fort Worth ISD as an SRO. Officer Falter holds a Master Peace Officer Certificate from the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement. He has certifications in school-based law enforcement and alert, to name a few, as well as over 2,000 hours of TCOL continued education training. With current and prior children in the district, Officer Falter definitely has a vested interest in everyone's safety and the success here at Godley ISD. I'm excited to partner with Officer Falter as we grow this agency into the future and provide top-notch service to our students, staff, and community. I'm lucky to have him as a part of my team, and we are blessed that he is now serving our district and the community. Please join me in welcoming Officer Falter to Godley ISD Police Department. Joined here tonight by his wife Stephanie, son Joey, daughter Emily and Allie, and grandchildren Sterling and Malin. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome to the team.
And we'd also like to introduce our new transportation director, Mr. Anthony Sims. We stole him from Fort Worth ISD. He has a lot of years' experience as a transportation director. He has stepped in, and we're already seeing great things from him. He's done a survey with the staff. I had several meetings with him, and we're looking at great things from Mr. Sims. He is joined by his lovely wife Letitia. She's back there, wait. But please help me in welcoming Anthony Sims.
Welcome to the team, sir.
Yeah, Anthony's going to make us feel bad dressing up. Very good. And next we have Mr. Flood with their cell phone presentation. So he's about to tell you here, but they had, I think, 3 parent meetings. They were well attended. Mr. Flood and Mr. Carnes did all the meetings. So we had a great response. Did a lot of survey information. Mr. Flood is going to share some of that with us now.
Good evening. Thank you, Board. Really excited about this opportunity. You know, in the 6 years I've been here, this has been a topic that kind of gets discussed every year, but really seems to have taken a lot of new attention across the community and the world, really, in about the past 2 to 3 years. It is something I know Dr. Nix and I have wrestled with frequently, my assistant principals and I have wrestled with frequently, of what's the balance for what we need to teach students to be ready to go on to the next phase of their life, because phones are not going anywhere, versus what do we need to mitigate and restrict so that they can be successful while they're here. And so we have talked about that a lot. I was really excited this year to be part of the District Improvement Committee and be able to lead a presentation there. And then, you know, appreciate Dr. Deere and Mr. Carnes letting me lead some presentations for the parents. This is a district-wide thing. Unfortunately, Mr. Carnes is not here tonight to be with me, so I'll present the information and then make him answer all the questions y'all have next month, because this is just information. So no, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna make it good. There we go. So for this presentation, we're going to look at just kind of the current state of the high school real fast, and then some staff survey results we did with the entire staff here at the high school campus. The high school is the one campus that still pretty much allows phones throughout the day. Most of the other campuses already have a ban or a restriction. Obviously, the middle school did it a few years ago with Mr. Frazier, and Ms. Wynn has continued that on. So it really mostly impacts the high school at this point for the change. We'll talk about our parent presentation for a brief moment, and then the results from that survey, and then our recommendation for future consideration. There's one more slide we actually added today that's going to talk about current legislation that is being acted on, so we'll talk about that real fast before we get done. Real fast, so just at the high school, right now students are allowed to use their cell phones, headphones, and smartwatches during passing periods, lunch, and at teacher discretion. Other campuses, they're not really allowed during the school day. So when we surveyed our staff, I stole a lot of information from some great campuses around us, Abilene Wiley High School, Grandview High School, La Vega High School, and others that have done some of these restrictions on their campuses. And I took some of their questions to survey our staff. Here's our current staff survey results. So we had roughly 59 responses out of 72 total instructional people on the high school campus. So that's almost the entirety of the campus when it comes to instruction. And 75% said that they are a problem, either an extreme problem, and then when you add the 13% from, you know, problematic, it's almost the entire campus is in agreement that these are a problem. When you go to the next slide, this is probably the most eye-opening of what the teachers report as their biggest concerns when it comes to the cell phones. You see it's a litany of things instructionally, whether it be cheating or lack of responsibility, but you also see a lot of other things that are mental health related, whether it's bullying, organized deception, poor mental health, distracted, or lack of engaged, that says in classroom discussions is what that's referring to. And this is directly reported from the teachers as to what they see, that when they try to have discussions, kids just won't engage because they want to rush and get to their phones so they can be engaged in their phones. So it's really eye-opening to me that it's not just an instructional conversation, it's a whole child conversation of what's really going on. We go to the next one, and we look at, do you believe the benefits of the phone outweigh the negatives? And you see that 95% said no, the benefits do not outweigh the negative. I tried to trick them a little bit just to make sure they weren't clicking buttons, so I asked that kind of counter there. But you can see that 95% of the staff are like, look, they do bring benefits, we get that, but the benefits just don't outweigh the problems they're causing during the school day. And then, do you believe there should be a school-wide restriction from the staff? Going back. Thank you. Where is it? Should be right there. It is. And you can see that 88% are yes. That there just needs to be a restriction, and we all need to row in the same boat. So when we got to our parent presentations, these were the exact slides we presented in our parent presentations. Thank you to the board members that did come. Ms. Heiner I saw at every meeting, so I appreciate that for all three. I saw Ms. Goodlow, Ms. Roy come to the presentation, so thank you all for y'all's time. And the parents were really insightful in the conversations that they shared with us. So we did 3 presentations. Around 35 parents attended, 28 officially signed in that we have their names for. We talked about the current state, leading research from around the country and the world, data from schools that have enacted it. I shared some of that data at the presentation, I think back in January when we did it. Godley High School had their discipline almost dropped. Abilene Wiley saw their failure rate the first 6 weeks cut in half from 12 to 6%. And then we ended with a parent survey. Some of the questions from the parents were really insightful. They were like, okay, what do you currently do versus what do you recommend? And then really making sure that teachers are also held accountable, that if kids are not going to be on phones all day, adults need to not be either. And adults need to be engaged in the classroom. Really appreciated that, from the parents, and just making sure that if we're going to hold this line, we hold this line, and that everybody holds the line. So I really thought it was insightful from the parents that that's what they were sharing. And then we posted the presentation online, and we opened the survey up to all parents in the district. If they wanted to watch the presentation, they could do the survey. So we get to the survey results. And this is a brief overview. It's not all of them. If you would like to see more, I could definitely talk with Dr. Deere and figure out how we want to do that through his guidance. But you can see the results of the people that responded to the survey. Obviously, 56% were from the high school, but there was a good smattering between the other campuses, of who showed up. A good scattering of everybody else, around 13 to 16%. The middle school had 35% represented that came to the meeting. So you can kind of see that on the graph form if you would like. That's what it looks like for who attended the meetings or watched it online and filled out the survey. One of the first questions we asked was, do you favor a cell phone restriction? You can see there from the parents that 75% were yes, 109 out of 146 responses. So I felt that was really encouraging on the whole, that the parents were like, yes, this is something we definitely need to talk about and consider.
Mr. Flood?
Yes.
Quick question on the survey. Was the survey only offered to those that came to the presentation, or was it something that was sent in Skyward for all parents?
No, ma'am. We posted it online for all parents. We did do the 3 parent presentations. We asked that they engage in the conversation first, and then I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to create a video. I ran into issues, but it's okay. We got it posted. And then we let the video be seen by parents, and they could respond to the survey at the end of that. We did ask that you be a parent of the district, so that your kids are going to be here. You're the ones that will be dealing with this issue moving forward. But any parent could respond to the survey that lived in the district.
Okay, thank you.
There we go. I think I skipped one right there. There it is. We favor the restriction. So the next question was, and this one is really kind of where some of the conversation happens, is are there times that phones should be allowed? And we had 4 different scenarios for the parents, depending on the schools and how they've done it. I know Brewer High School has allowed during lunch, whereas Abilene Wiley and other schools have not at all. So when we look at it, the entire school day, 20 were on that side. This question was can they have their phones? Well, 14% were, yeah, they can have them all day long. Okay, makes sense. Can they have them during lunch? We had 48% said, yeah, we think they can have them during lunch. 27% said they thought they could have them during passing periods. And then 38% said, no, they don't need them at all during the school day. So you can see there, the real question is really lunch versus not having them at lunch is where the parents, have a great divide. I asked the same question to my campus improvement team about a couple weeks ago, and they were divided as well on this issue because it's really hard because we go back to the issues we're facing are not just academic, they're also mental health related, and the phones do prevent social interactions. We think they produce them, but they create asynchronous interactions, are what they're called, not synchronous face-to-face. If somebody were to get up and leave this room, they would know it because they're in the room. But on your phone, you can just go away anytime you want, and nobody knows. So the standard to enter and exit conversations is really low. But in a face-to-face conversation, you have to know how to do that. And at lunch in the schoolhouse is one of the best times for kids to make friends. They've actually found in schools that restrict them during lunch, kids meet new friends more frequently and they make better relationships because they're not just on their phone skipping out from everywhere. So it's a pro and con that it's really hard to figure out where to land on this issue. We have our recommendation in just a minute. But you can see it there. There was the actual survey results if you'd like to look at it. There was kind of the bar graph of what it looks like. We went on to, should we restrict watches, AirPods, and headphones? And that was a yes as well. 75% were yeah. Anything that connects to the device needs to be restricted. It all goes together because they can text or call from their watch just like they can from their phone. So if they still have their watch, it's going to be a problem. And the same with AirPods or headphones. The parents were in favor of that.
Mr. Flood,
Yes.
what are you going to do about like their own computers? Will that be included in this restricting the AirPods and the things that can connect to their phone?
Yes, ma'am. So currently, right now, we have a policy that we ask them not to bring their devices. We run into an encounter with Hill College where our Chromebooks would not meet the standards, so kids have been bringing their devices to get over that. It's yet another reason we're excited about Tarleton today, because that won't be a burden for us to overcome. We'll have much smaller sections at Hill College that we can navigate around, so we can find computer labs or other ways for kids to get on that. So we would like to get back to be on our Chromebook devices, be on our network, so we can control it and know what's going on versus bringing your own devices. I know Marty would like that because it makes it really nice on the network when people don't bring in whatever viruses they have from outside into our network. When they stay on ours, it makes it really nice. We'd like to get back to that. So Hill College has been our greatest hurdle for that the past couple of years on their lockdown browser for testing. That has been our issue with that. So most of the kids that have brought them are our dual credit students, which are great students, and we don't have to worry about too much, but they are still teenagers, so they make their choices sometimes.
So is that a TBA, depending on?
No, yeah, we'll push that they not bring their devices, is what we'll do. So we'll go back to the Chromebooks as much as humanly possible, and if we need to find another way around it, we will try to do our best to find a computer lab or some other way around it so kids aren't bringing their devices.
Mr. Flood, on the subject of Chromebooks, I did notice in the staff survey that 96% of staff said the cell phone issue was majorly distraction-based. I have noticed on some of the CBAS reports, distractions from Chromebooks. How are we going to prevent, it's no joke that kids are addicted to technology. How are we going to prevent taking away the cell phone, now they're addicted to the Chromebook, and the Chromebooks are a distraction? Do we have a plan in place to make sure that we address that?
Yes, ma'am. So our facilitators are working really hard on what's called blended learning. So some technology, some writing, working with manipulatives or up and talking, not just working with tech at all, but communication, dialogue, things like that. So our facilitators work hard with the teachers. This is one of those things that the Chromebooks are necessary because the world has moved to digital resource. And it saves a lot on the budget side and everything else. Instead of having to have paper, textbooks just aren't a thing we do anymore in the world. So Chromebooks are a valuable piece. We have a lot more control to restrict the Chromebooks on what kids can see and what they can do. So it's just not as easy as their cell phones are. But I think schools, Abilene Wiley and other schools, they have Chromebook policies, one of the world just like we do. And even just removing the phone, they have seen those positive gains. So it's not the Chromebook that's really causing it, because that's really for work. You get your device out and you go to work. The phone is the one that's like, oh, this is work and play. So it's a little bit of both. So I'm not real worried about the Chromebooks as much. It is funny, a couple of our students, AJ that you saw come across here, he's a very bright individual, and he's head of our debate team, made it to state and local events. He's like, what about Chromebooks, Mr. Flood? And I was like, that's a good point, AJ, you tell me. He's like, well, I'll think on it. So I'm wrestling with my principal advisory committee and some of those kids and letting them give me the answers of what we should do. Because they know. And it's funny, my PAC has talked about this. Mr. Flood, we got to talk about the phones. And I was like, I know, guys. We don't want to talk about the phones, but we got to talk about the phones because they recognize what's going on, even as teenagers. Some legislative updates real fast. And thank you to Jeff Metter for helping me find these out today. The most current one and the one that's furthest along right now is House Bill 1481. It passed the House on April 24th. It has a Senate committee public hearing tomorrow, May 20th. And it reads, the district will create a policy prohibiting students from using a personal communication device during the school day. Now, what compliance for the school would look like is that would mean we'd be prohibiting students from using a personal communication device on campus, or we would designate a method for the storage of the personal communication device. I'm sorry for my typo there. It was really interesting when this bill was introduced, it was actually introduced that schools need to build locations for kids to store their device away from them during class, which is considered the most restrictive form of cell phones is lockers that a lot of schools have. And you put your phone in a little bitty like airport locker kind of thing, like a bus locker, and then you leave it there all day and then go get it at the end of the day. It has been amended because a lot of parents said on this bill, and our parents said it as well, look, we believe in restricting them, but we want our kids to have their phone. Probably the number one thing we heard in presentations is we don't want bags, we don't want them away from them, we want them in their person. And that's actually beneficial to us in a safety and security standpoint. This high school, we train the students that if there was an event that happened at the Wild and you're here, don't go to the Wild. There's no reason for you to go over there. Run away. If you're in this spot of the hospital, the CLI, and you hear shots, run, take off, like escape the situation, don't go run towards it. If they have their phones, that allows them to communicate with mom and dad, come pick me up past the CEFCO or wherever they have gone. So the phones are valuable from an emergency standpoint, if that makes sense. But this bill is the one that has the most. It looks like right now this is an administrative thing. We're looking at putting it in the handbook. It's just information tonight. But if this were to pass, it talks about creating a policy, which obviously gets more to y'all's level of what that looks like from a legal and local perspective. That I'm sure Mr. Carnes would bring to you all that we would consider for passage.
Mr. Flood.
Yes, sir.
Quick, when you were surveying teachers, what was their feedback on this locker storing the device versus not having it period on the campus? Because they're the ones that are going to be enforcing it, obviously.
Yeah, I think a lot of our teachers were, look, they just need to put them away. They're parents as well. I'm a parent as well. My son, has a phone, and the other night he was driving home and he finally texted me, I'm on my way, and thank you. I've been asking you to do that for 3 months. When you leave, let me know. So I think teachers are on board with kids need to have them, especially all our extracurricular activities. When they're leaving and going away and coming back, they need that device. Especially after hours, if they're gone somewhere else and late. A lot of kids, that's how they pay for things. Apple Pay is on their phone and things like that. So teachers we just need to put them away. We just don't need them out all the time. I don't think they did not talk about they need to lock them away. In my campus improvement team, Ms. Roy has been on it for the past couple of years. I'm probably gonna have to boot her off now. Sorry, Ms. Roy. She became a board member. But she could speak on what we said in there, that the teachers are like, no, we just need to restrict them. We're not trying to take them away all day long. And I think if everybody gets on board, the schools that have done this, you just have to hold a hard line of this is the way it's gonna be. And you're gonna put it up, and I've already talked to my teachers about, guys, it's gonna be as strict as the door propping policy. These are that dangerous that if we catch in and you're just letting them use them without cause, it's gonna be pretty severe. By the third time, we're gonna talk about maybe it's not good to work here anymore. We're gonna do this because this is best for kids. I believe in autonomy. I truly do for teachers. I think you get the most beneficial solutions and most creative solutions when teachers wrestle with what they need to do. The phones are on a level that you can't. It's too much. You just need to restrict them so you can be more creative in what you do in the classroom, from my perspective.
Might I assume that this is obviously going to be a work in progress, so if 6 weeks into the school year next fall, the teachers come to you and say, Mr. Flood, all we're doing is battling phones, that we could then revisit and say, okay, now we're going to go with those clear shoe hanging things on the door to where when you come in the classroom, you can see your phone the whole time and it's going to be in a bag at the front of the room if we need to do that, because I don't want our teachers to spend their valuable instructional time, Sue, put your phone away, Bobby, put your phone away. That's not healthy for anybody either, and it's not a good use of our instructional time. So are you going to set up something to where the teachers can offer that feedback to you as we are moving into our new policy?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we have, I meet with my facilitators weekly to meet with the teachers and ask what's going on and keep that pulse on. My assistant principals as well, will come meet with me. And then we're doing a survey at the end of the year for teachers to turn back any of their feedback on these issues of how they want to do it. We do a lot of work on our PD at the beginning of the year of how do y'all want to do this? How should we unveil it? What should we do? So yeah, we'll always take feedback, from the teachers of how they want to do it. I've told the teachers for several years, the teachers that are most prepared for phones are the most successful classrooms in our school, and always have been. Now we'll just do it across the board. And from what I hear from every principal that's done it, it's about 3 to 4 weeks that you're going to be doing the fight, and then it just goes away. And I would say one of the best things about Godley High School and Godley America Our kids are amazing kids. When we set the standard, they'll meet it. They'll put the phones away, they'll listen to what we do, and they'll be great, respectful kids because that's what their parents teach them to do at home. And so it's an amazing place to be because they will follow in line. Our 9th graders will have no problem because the 8th grade already does it. Our 10th graders, it's funny because this year is freshmen. They don't have their phones for about 3 weeks because they're like, what? I can? Like, because they're just so ingrained. They even they making sure bathrooms don't go in backpacks, and backpacks don't go in bathrooms, and things like that. And so we catch them for 3 or 4 weeks just leaving their backpacks in the hallway because that's what they're so trained to do. As we get to that point, I don't think we'll see any of those problems from teachers. And there will be some training on us. There's easy ways to take care of it as a teacher that it takes 3 seconds of your time. It's not a fight, it's not an argument. This is the rule, just do it, we're moving on, we're getting back into class. So I think it'll be relatively simple after 3 to 4 weeks. The other legislative act that's going on right now is Senate Bill 2365. It's pretty similar to the House bill. It hasn't gotten as far. It has passed the Senate, but it's referred to the House committee. And it basically says the district shall adopt a policy prohibiting students from using a wireless communication device during instructional times. What's unique between these two is the Senate bill is during instructional time. The House bill does say during the school day. So it includes lunch. The House bill includes lunch, whereas the Senate bill just says instructional time. So it's a little nuance there of what the two are fighting over. So that leads to our recommendation at this point from the administrative side is that we put in the handbooks that GISD will require students to keep cell phones and all devices that connect to a cell phone, including AirPods, headphones, and smartwatches, in their bag or out of sight from the first instructional bell until the final instructional bell. Teachers may request from campus admin to use cell phones for specific instructional purposes. Campus administration may also allow cell phones during lunch or other non-academic instructional activities for behavior or campus incentives, i.e. attendance goals. And then campus administration may also allow cell phones during events that hold significant meaning, homecoming, pep rallies, things when it's time to take a picture and get your phone out to really remember this moment or take video. That is our official recommendation, at least I can speak for my side on the high school administration. I do think it'd be beneficial from bell to bell that we do that and then we make it an incentive or other times that they can pull them out. Hey, it's time to get your phone out. Now is okay. The rest of the time is not. I'm so excited that this happens because I truly believe like Abilene, Wiley, Grandview, and La Vega are 3 totally different schools. Everyone had the same results when the phones went away. Positive outcomes. It didn't matter, socioeconomic status north of Waco, a small little bitty tiny school that we don't like ever because they're Grandview, and then, Abilene, Wiley, a massive high school south of Abilene, right? All positive results when the phones just went away. And we were fighting a battle that honestly, the people that are making these devices know what they're doing. They're addictive on purpose because they're trying to make a lot of money. And I just don't think 18 and under is ready for it necessarily in the schoolhouse. Now, outside of school, yes. How parents see them in their house, yes, absolutely, and they need to be here for emergency purposes. But I'm going to get back to the business of school, and it'll help band and athletics and everything in between, especially the classroom. We'll see amazing games in the classroom. So, any other questions?
What other feedback do we have from the board? Because as a reminder, we have a current cell phone policy, which is an administrative regulation. So this is just amending the current cell phone policy. So this doesn't have to be board approved. Because to your question, Krista, which was a great question, if we hit something, we can change it on the fly. We don't have to wait until the next board meeting to make an adjustment. Of course, we come back and tell you guys. But what other feedback do you have for us?
Being part of that committee, when we first started speaking about them, I asked Mr. Flood for more data on it, and he hit it out of the park. He really dug in and got all the information I was looking for. The stats speak for themselves. I think it's highly needed.
Mr. Flood, since we have a few board members that wouldn't have had access to the presentation if they didn't come because they don't have kids in the district, can you somehow make that presentation available to the board so that they can go and look at all the statistics that you presented during your presentation? Because they were very eye-opening and very clear, and it'd be really hard to argue with them. So, I obviously saw it a couple times. Jamie saw it, Terry saw it, but Craig wouldn't have had access to it because he's not on Parent Square, and neither would have Kayla. So, could you share that with them so that they can see all of those?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, we can get that done. And my recommendation, if you want more research, the book that really that's leading a lot of thought right now is called The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt, H-A-I-D-T. He's a social psychologist, and he's really done a ton of research on this across the nations, and it's picking up moving across the world. I believe the country is Sweden, that over 80% of their schools went to a restriction, so now the whole country did it. Because they're like, okay, if 80% of y'all are doing it, it's time for everybody to do it. So it is really a global thing that is going on, not just in one spot. It's something we're all wrestling with, trying to figure out what's best for our kids.
Also, do we have the presentation on the website? Or can we put it on the website for the community?
Yes, Jeff says yes.
Thank you.
I'll go with Jeff.
It was on the website.
Okay. So it was for anybody to see at a time, right? Yeah, it was up on the website, so anybody could have watched it. It's just only parents could have filled out the survey. But anybody could have watched the presentation they wanted to. But we can repost it and get it to the board members if that's what y'all like, no problem.
So Mr. Floyd, obviously you had several interactions and meetings with parents and such. So assuming we move forward, have we started talking about a complete comms plan on, hey, this is coming, this will be here, so that way we can try to reach everyone ahead of time instead of giving surprises at the first day of school?
Yes, sir. Yeah, through the months of June and July, we would publish all that information, if that's how we wanted to do it. All the schools I talked to, they really started about 6 weeks out from the start of school when they really started publicizing the information. Because you want to wrap up this year, get through it, let all the noise kind of settle down, and then start gearing up for next school year. So we would start about 6 weeks out from the start of school, August 7th, 8th next school year, and we would make sure they know that's what's coming at the start of the year. Yes, sir.
Mr. Flood, can you talk about the disciplinary follow-up on that? I mean, will it mirror some of our other disciplinary actions?
Yes, ma'am. So right now the plan would be, in the past we've had a rule that if we took a phone, it costs $15 to get it back. We don't want to send a message that we're trying to make money off of this or anything. We're doing what's best for kids. So the first one would be, if it's out in class and it's not supposed to be, one of our best examples for when it might, the band has an app that when they learn their show for the very first time, the phone marches them exactly through where they're supposed to go. For 2 to 3 days, the kids just follow their phone and it tells them where to go and how to line up on the field. And then after that, they put the phones away and it's on the kid to memorize it and know it. But it's a really useful tool. Spanish class sometimes for the oral presentations they need in the foreign language, it can capture through the microphone what they need and give instantaneous feedback. But outside of those, if a student were on their device, we would take it up, we'd keep it in the office, and the first one we'd give back to the student and say, hey, you're old enough, it's time for you to take care of this, don't do it again. The second one we'd call the parent, and the third one we would have the parent come in and we need a plan of how are we going to make sure this isn't going to happen again. This is now strike 3, we're not trying to take you out of the classroom or anything like that, but the phone needs to be taken care of, these are the rules. So we go from there.
So my concern in terms of feedback is for teachers more so. I'm concerned more so for them on, at some point it's exhausting, right? Like this guy's, in the back, he's sneaking in, this person, it's constant. Sure, I can go through all the motions to get Mr. Flood or get the assistant principal involved. But what I think would be helpful maybe for us is to have a survey, a teacher survey, like after the first 9 weeks, to have some feedback, some real live feedback from what they experience in the classroom.
Absolutely. Yeah, that would be the plan. That's exactly what Abilene Wiley did. Their results, I didn't put them on this presentation. I had them on the one for the parents. But she did a survey before where the teacher said, basically it almost mirrored exactly what our teacher said. And then she did a survey after her first 6 weeks. They're not on 9, they're on 6. And that's where they got their really positive results of here's what happened. And the teachers, they also did a satisfaction component to their survey, and teachers reported they felt more that they could focus on teaching, they were more content in their work, and more satisfied throughout the day without the phones being there. So it was not only did they learn better, the teachers felt better about what they were accomplishing and the satisfaction of what they were getting to.
Any other feedback from Mr. Flood?
Mr. Carnes and Mr. Flood did an excellent job presenting this and being very open with the parents that attended the sessions and answering their questions. They met with parents after the meeting to address any individual concerns that they didn't get answered during the presentation. I feel like they did a really great job offering it 3 times. It was very well communicated that we were offering it 3 times so that any parent could come. So kudos to you guys. If anybody says, hey, I didn't know about it, you're living under a rock, because you guys did a great job making sure that every parent in this district had an opportunity to come and watch and learn and get some information prior to this being rolled out. So I'd like to give you guys some kudos for that. You guys did a great job.
I'll also say when we posted that announcement, I got a feedback from a child that we see frequently in our neck at the high school. I'll put it that way. But his mom was like, get rid of them right now. Like, she didn't even come to the presentation. She didn't need to hear it. Get rid of them. And so it's, you know, it's all parents are pretty much on board with, we're all struggling with this, you know, how to do what's best for our kids and the world is changing. So it's kind of our recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Flood. Appreciate you guys.
All right, next we are going to take a 5-minute break, recess, and we will reconvene at 7:44.
reconvene. All right, next on the agenda is consider the consent agenda items. Consider a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
I have a motion by Terry and a second by Krista. Is there any further? I heard Krista, did I miss it? Okay. All right, so I have a motion by Terry, a second by Krista. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Next, we will consider approval of a vendor for the 600 Pearson project.
Yes, sir. Thank you, board. So, wanted to let you know that we did go out and have vendors come out to the property and give us some quotations on what it would be to renovate that item into offices, right? So we talked about it previously, how we're opening up about 100 student capacity at Legacy by doing this project. And so we received 4 different quotes, 3 of which actually walked the property. And so we're bringing a recommendation to you today for Gallagher Construction. And we have 2 individuals here, Steve Risser and Jeff Fisher are both with Gallagher. And so if you had any questions for them, they're here to be able to answer those for you. But our recommendation is to have Gallagher Construction do the renovations on the 600 Pearson property, which we're calling the Business and Student Services Annex.
I'll make a motion to approve Gallagher for the construction of the 600 Pearson property.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Terry and a second by Krista. Is there any further discussion?
Yes. So I know we've had discussions about needing to fix leaky roofs. We've had discussions about teachers needing pay increases. And with the budget constraints regarding those, I just don't see the justification of spending this money right now for admin building renovations. And so that's just my concern.
Yeah, so
I'm sorry, I have to disagree with that because this is not about admin office renovations as much as it is giving us a capacity for an additional 100 students at Legacy Elementary. That's the way I look at it. It's not about giving somebody a nicer office or anything like that. This is about some very much needed classroom space for our students.
So to that point, you're right, Trustee Hunter, that most of the office space that the individuals will be going into is actually smaller than what they're currently in. But it's allowing us to, again, since the bond was voted down by the public, to have additional room for students. That way we don't have to be in portables, that this is an expense that we're using instead of buying portables and different things of that nature. So as an example, one portable is going to be over $200,000 before you have to do the electrical, plumbing, etc., stuff like that. This we're doing at about $225 a square foot, all in with renovations. If we were going to build this from the ground up, it would be about $400 plus a square foot. So we're spending X amount of dollars to save probably about $300,000, which then can be used to do the other projects that we're talking about. So by us doing it this way, we're actually being able to free up additional resources for the other projects that we were talking about, but also making sure that we have significant space and safe space for our students.
I certainly understand all of that. I just would like to see teacher pay be a priority.
Yeah, so
teacher pay is a priority. This one, just make sure you know that.
Are we, for anyone who isn't familiar with the Legacy campus, we are currently having to use how many classrooms for office space instead of classroom space? How many of those classrooms are going to be opened up?
Correct. So downstairs we're opening up 4 large classrooms, one of which was the old boardroom, and so we're going to put up a wall there to be able to make it 5 different classrooms. Upstairs, where administration currently is, was renovated to be offices from instructional space previously as well. So again, that's just space that we've unfortunately had to take away from instructional space to have staff be in a central location.
So Spencer, what is the projected extension of time before Legacy would reach capacity if and when this is approved to be implemented?
So I have not specifically looked at the demographer report to push that out 100 students, but it does, in my estimation, give us a couple more years than what we would have had. We would have been at capacity right now. As an example, we're adding another 4th grade classroom, we're adding a kindergarten classroom, both of which would not have been an option for us if we wouldn't have made this move and you as a board approve us to be able to do this.
Real quick, Spencer, can you clarify what funds are utilized for this specific project?
So it's going to be a combination of funds. We're looking at utilizing some of our general funds. We're also looking at old unused bond funds that we would be able to classify for this specific purpose.
So those bond funds, those would not be able to be used to allocate toward teacher pay, correct?
You're correct on that.
Okay, and had we passed a bond, then we would have had those funds, once again, that we wouldn't have to allocate any general funds that could have been used for teacher pay to the project and to add additional classrooms and needed space.
You're correct on that, Jeff.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I thought.
Craig, to answer your question, it'll take 100 kids at Legacy will take us out 2 to 3 more years. Give us 2 to 3 more year cushion.
Thank you. Okay, lots of good discussion. Any further questions? All those in favor? And opposed? Motion passes 5-1.
Thank you, board.
And next we will consider approval of awarded vendors from an architectural RFQ.
So we published our RFQ, which is request for qualifications. 12 architect firms responded. The committee graded out the applicants on a matrix. After grading, we had a natural break, the top 3. The committee felt comfortable interviewing those top 3, and we liked all 3. However, the team really liked 2 in particular. We also thought that having multiple architects would give us flexibility. And with that flexibility comes choice. So we're working on a system to determine, which architect we use for which project, because now we've got another characteristics that we haven't done with. We're working on that right now. But with that, the administration's recommendation is to award Huckabee and WRA as approved vendors for our RFQ for architects. And we have representatives from both here.
We have Aubrey Moses, whom you'll know from Huckabee, and then Mike Holberg from WRA is also with us.
So Dr. Deere, we've had some working relation with Huckabee for a number of years. With WRA, have we outlined a plan for trying to communicate what is important to Godley, the Godley culture, the Godley way, not just, yes, it is about making sure we get the best bang for our buck, but again, there's these other, I'm going to call them soft aspects of things that are important to us, as has been communicated in our community-based accountability. How are we going to do we anticipate communicating that to this new architect?
Yes, so we've talked about getting to know us, talking with them, but they did a lot of research when they came to the interview. They were telling us about us. They did their homework, and we feel pretty confident that they do have a really good idea of who we are. But we would definitely do a much more thorough introduction. And if any of you guys want to chime in, because Spencer was on the committee, Dr. Nix was on the committee, Mr. Carnes was also on the committee, Mr. Metter was on the committee, and Julie Green. Am I missing anybody?
That's correct. Yeah, and both, all three firms did a great presentation. Like Dr. Deere said, we were significantly impressed with the Godley way, as you're alluding to there, that Huckabee has and that WRA was bringing to our attention.
Board WRA has actually come and toured our facilities multiple times before this RFQ was actually published publicly. They came to learn from our work and learn from our facilities and then replicate that in other school districts who want to mimic some of the things that we do. Imitation is the highest form of flattery, and I feel like they have been very studious in learning our ways and observant of how we build facilities to be multifaceted and multi-purposed. So I feel confident with them learning how we do things at Godley.
I'll make a motion to award and approve the vendors for the architect RFQ with Huckabee and WRA.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion by Terry and a second by Krista. Is there any further discussion?
I have a question. So in terms of our specific contracts and the fees and what's outlined in these agreements, who negotiates those?
Yeah, so the RFQ was written for a 5-year term with the option to continue to renew those relationships if it was of benefit to Godley ISD. When we actually do the RFQ process, it's actually in statute that it's solely based on qualifications. Pricing is not even something that's brought up until a later time. And in the statute, it states that you can only negotiate, as it were, with one architect at a time. And then if you cannot come to an agreement with that architect, then you're allowed to go to a different architect. And so pricing is not a specific item that we graded any of these vendors on.
But if I think you're also asking, if we brought these two architects on and we awarded a project, then Spencer and I would negotiate that, yes?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so that's kind of where I would like to see us making sure, because the vendor choice is one thing, but the terms that we agree to at the point at which that vendor comes, it becomes applicable, is what's important, are the percentages and the fees that we're charged. And as long as those are competitive and we do our due diligence to ensure that we're getting the right and fair percentage for those fees, I can get behind that.
Absolutely.
Okay, I have a motion by Terry and a second by Krista.
I have a question, sorry. Do a lot of other school districts have more than one architect?
Lots of bigger school districts do.
Okay.
Lots of bigger school districts, because they've got, especially fast growth districts, because they've got so many things going on.
And that's kind of what I understood, but I wanted to make sure before we voted that was a point that we make, that
Yes,
as we continue to grow, this isn't abnormal for a district to have more than one architect that we use.
Yes, and I've spoken with both architects, and they both said that they're part of districts that have multiple architects, so they're probably better versed in navigating that than we are right now, because it's new to us. Yes.
And it allows, based on the projects, as we continue to grow, that you could have two different architects working on two different projects at the same time to make sure that we're receiving the significant service that we need on each of them. Yeah, so that's always an option as well.
Is this for like a finite amount of time, or can you add another architect having time to choose?
Great question. So it is just limited to the 12 that applied, and then the 2 that we're recommending for awarding. If we wanted to go outside of the 2 that we've awarded, we would wait until the first 5-year period is up, and then we would look at a new RFQ at that time. Correct, yes, ma'am, 5 years.
I have a motion and a second. Thank you for the discussion. All those in favor? And opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Next, we will consider approval of FTE. You're here again.
Yeah, thank you, Board. So again, one of the items as we're growing is some of our special populations are growing. We have added some special education teachers and FTEs and aides. Previously, when I brought requests to you, this is in that same realm. Our special ed dyslexia population is continuing to increase. And so to make sure that the students are receiving the specific minutes that they're required to receive, bringing a recommendation that we add a special ed dyslexia teacher position for the 25-26 school year, and this would be at the 6th grade campus.
I make a motion to approve the additional FTE for the 2025-2026 school year due to the increased enrollment and state requirements as presented and recommended.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Krista and a second by Jeff. Just to make sure I have a question on this, is it still going to be under the context or the umbrella of a balanced budget?
Yes, sir. Yeah, so it's one of the major things that I've looked at and considered and with the cabinet is to make sure that we come in at a balanced budget, and we still, with adding this, are at a balanced budget. And that is before potential any additional money from the state. We're operating off of current law.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
You guys can tell me if this isn't the right time to ask, but with FTE and in the topic of mandates and unfunded mandates that are so fun, what's the status of our the FTEs for SRO? I mean, I know we got an additional one today that we recognized or welcomed, but I thought there were a few others.
Correct. So as a board, you approved the additional 2 FTEs. Officer Faulkner actually was replacing Officer Rizzo.
Right.
So that one was already there. As of right now, we have the funding to add a 3rd SRO officer, and so Chief Quinteros is currently, I believe, looking for that 3rd officer to bring on, but we are adding a 3rd officer to the force next year.
Well, maybe the 3rd one will have a great mustache too. I guess that's a prerequisite. But you mentioned a 4th. What's the timeline on a 4th, potential 4th?
So Jeff, I can answer that. So we kind of thought that it would be better to hire a teacher early and much worse to hire a teacher late, like in September or October. It would be much easier to add an SRO at that time if the money panned out. So that's, we kind of did it for that way, just for budget reasons.
Great point, Dr.
And for classroom reasons.
That makes sense. So would push that 4th to what type of timeline are we thinking?
Well, we're hoping we can, if it works out, we're hoping we can maybe hire a 4th next fall, but that is also dependent on what the state does to us, because we never know what's going on in Austin.
All right, have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Board.
And next we have approval certification of provisional instructional materials for 25-26 school year. Dr. Cobb.
Good evening. This is something we do every year. We bring to you the list of materials that we are, instructional materials we are planning to use for next year, just to guarantee that we have considered the materials, that we are covering all of the state standards. And so we are certifying that we have a provision of instructional materials that will cover the full scope of the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills to make sure that we're giving our teachers everything they need
to teach throughout the school year. I know we've used the word curriculum interchangeably several times, but this is specifically the materials, the textbooks, the online resources, all the things that we use to teach throughout the year. Last year we brought to you the new science adoption. That was a new piece that we added last year. This year there are very few changes. The one piece that I am adding in this year, and I say this with lots of thought and lots of time put into it, we are adding IXL back to reading and math. They have done a huge overhaul. They have a lot of new data pieces, a lot of new assessment pieces. They've changed the way the platform works. We've had conversations, we're gonna have training, but we've had several teachers come to us and say, we feel like this is something we really need. So we're gonna add it in. We're gonna hope that we can get some solid training in place for our teachers, but we are going to add IXL in for reading, math, and science at the middle school. That's the only area. So you won't see many changes to the list, but that is one change we are making for next year.
I applaud you for listening to your teachers and letting them kind of help guide us on what's working in the classroom. So way to go for that.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing that.
Absolutely. Thank you. Any questions about any of the other resources?
Consider a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the certification of provision of instructional materials for the 25-26 school year as presented and recommended.
I'll second.
Have a motion by Kristen, a second by Carrie. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
And next, we'll consider approval of the attendance waivers for 24-25.
Thank you, Board. So we do this every May. We look at our attendance data and see if there are any items that we can waiver off due to low attendance days for weather, health, or safety issues. We had in August the social media threat and the flu in January, and so that's where our minutes are coming from. And so through us doing this, it actually takes these out of our ADA calculations. So our attendance right now is about 0.47% higher than it was last year. As Dr. Block mentioned in her spotlight, the principals have been doing a great job. By us and by you as a board approving this, it's actually going to increase that even more. And so I just wanted to recognize the admin staff for the great job that they're doing to get the kids to school.
I make a motion to approve the attendance waivers for the 24-25 school district as presented and recommended.
I'll second.
Have a motion by Jeff and a second by Krista. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Board.
All right, the time is 8:08 and the board will convene to close session.
Go back. There's any principal that has an AP recommendation, come on back with us.
For clarity, let me just mention that we will be discussing personnel under section 551.074.
session. Tomorrow evening we have the budget workshop, and that will be held in the den, which is in back here to our right, and we will hold a future meeting at the 6th grade campus, probably the June. Yep. Okay.
We hope it's not raining. We hope it does rain.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
No, she just did. I already did it. That's a Terry session.
She didn't
And
go on her
I'll
chamber.
second.
Wasn't official, wasn't official.
You and I need to have a call.
I'll second Terry's motion to adjourn.
Yeah, the dinner.
Motion by Terry, second by Jeff. Done. Thank you. 9:05.